Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Cafe Esoterica Radio on Blog Talk Radio with your hostess with the mostest, metaphysician, psychic medium, tarot reader, author, astrologer, past life regressionist, Shawn M. Cohen, that's me, live in London, England. I invite you to come on in, relax, pull up a cozy chair, or get comfy on the couch and listen to wonderment. Drink in your favorite libation, a cappuccino, a latte, or perhaps a herbal tea, and savor a warm cup of knowledge as we transform, enlighten, and awaken your soul with unique guests from the mind, body, and spirit genres, practitioners in the know, enlightened guests, deep discussion, magic, metaphysics, and mirth are always on the menu here at Cafe Esoterica Radio. So come on in. If you want to call in and be part of the show, we welcome your calls. The number to call is outside the United States, you'll have to dial 001, but inside the United States, you dial 516, area code 387-1809. And scroll down to the bottom of the landing page, and you'll find our chat room. Come on in, participate in the chat room. If you want to sign up for a free listener's account on Blog Talk Radio, you will then be able to display your name in the chat room. But either way, we welcome you. Our website is www.cafeesoterica.wixsite.com/radio show. And if you'd like to be on the show, please do email Shawn at cafeesoterica@gmail.com. We go live every Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. UK time, 2 to 4 EST, 2 to 4 in the afternoon, and 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Pacific Coast, and worldwide. Your table is reserved. So come on in. Well, you hear me typing away diligently on the other computer because you know I'm running two laptops right here for the show. And one is people can watch me live on YouTube. Just go to the Cafe Esoterica Radio YouTube channel. Just put in the search and you'll find me. And I'm just typing in the chat room to a few people there. Gregg's in there, and so is Gemini Moon, hello, and anyone else who's watching, say hi. I'm just typing all the particulars. Gregg's website is IN5D, in5D.com, and he is my guest tonight. But before I bring Gregg up, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on, little show news, the usual stuff I do before I bring my guest up. So let's talk about, first of all, tonight we're going to have a great show. And it's going to be a great show because I've got a great guest on. All my shows I try to make great for you, for my listening audience all over the world. But, you know, today is very special because I know Gregg, and he is such a light shower like no other. And a way shower and a light worker is a light shower. And wise and kind he is too. But before I read his bio and bring him up, let me just go back a little bit. I want to thank my lovely guest last week. She was amazing, as many and all my guests are. Her name was and is Jenny Line Rainbow Anderson. Jenny originally hails from Sweden, and she actually married a guy named Rainbow. Can you imagine that? Her husband's surname is Rainbow, and she's lovely, and her work is all about healing and working with the soul's potential, and she's also very into abundance and prosperity and helping all us people in the New Age who perhaps aren't too up the, swiftness with money. I think collectively we came in and saw our parents abusing money and the world abusing money, as it still does, and thought, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that. But unfortunately, we do live in a world. We do live in a world which requires money, so which is really important in today's world. I mean, eventually it will be about your integrity and dignity, and not really much else. You know, are you a truth teller or are you not? So here is her website, www.rainbowcenterforsoulpotential.net. And next week is a wonderful, wonderful man. How many people out there love or are interested in what we call disclosure? Disclosure is about all this idea that we are not alone, that in fact, if you're a fan of Ancient Aliens, which I am, and UFO Hanger One and all these shows, but even before that, if you have an inkling that aliens exist, or you're just curious, come on down and listen to my publisher, because I'm writing I have my own. He asked me to write an article for his magazine, which is outerlimitsmagazine.co.uk. Chris Evers is my next guest next week, and he is fabulous, and he does a lot of paranormal radio shows too. He talks a lot about the whole alien agenda. He's just had a big conference, which I missed. I was invited to, but I couldn't go, here in the UK. And he's a good guy. He's trying to get the word out. What do you think about it? Let's talk about it. Thing about these things is, if you don't talk about it, if you don't explore it, you will never know. And ignorance in 2018 is not bliss. It can be very dangerous to be ignorant. Hence, the California fires, which we're going to talk about with my wonderful guest, Gregg Prescott. Okay, I will be away from the computer as much as possible, except I'm writing books. So I realize that people are going to be busy with the holidays, and, that's okay too. Let's have a break. So if you look for me in December and you don't see me, don't panic. It's just that I'm going to take a break and spend some time with my lovely daughter and spend some time writing. I'm going to have a book which is called In This Metaphysical Moment, and it'll be like an oracle. So you open to a page and you get a message. And it's all the different in this metaphysical moments that I do in the show. At the end of each show, after 2 years, it's 2 years next month that I've been doing the show. So that's our anniversary, and I'm going to put out a book for it, and you could buy it on Blurb, and it'll be ready probably before Christmas. So what a great present. If you like the spiritual message that that I and my guests try to put out every week, and Gregg is absolutely the top of the list there. He started his website years ago. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you like all that and you're thinking, what could I get someone who maybe isn't that aware, or maybe they love oracles, maybe they love books that you open to a page and you find the answer, then, get in touch with me and I will put you down on the list and let you know when the book is ready. Of course, you can always email the show, and it's Cafe Esoterica. That's 2 E's in there, CAFEESO, Terica, TERICA, @gmail.com. So now I've done all the show news. I've thanked my previous guest. And now we're going to begin the show. I'm going to open up Gregg's mic, but Gregg, don't say anything yet. I want to read your bio. Okay, so let me get down to Gregg Prescott. Master's degree, MS, is the founder and editor of IN5D.com and BodyMindSoulSpirit.com. You can find his IN5D radio shows on the IN5D YouTube channel. He is a visionary, author, a transformational speaker, and promotes spiritual, metaphysical, and esoteric conferences in the United States through In5D events. His love and faith for humanity motivates him to work in humanity's best interests 12 to 15 hours a day. He works like a dog, Gregg. 365 days a year. Wow. Please like and follow IN5D on Facebook, as well as Body, Mind, Soul, Spirit on Facebook. And Gregg also has many other websites, which I want to just mention, because if you go to his Facebook page, you're going to look at, there's Holistic Cancer Remedies. We'll talk about that. And here, I want to show, I took this off to show people on the YouTube so you can see me. These are all the places where Gregg, his articles are found on In5D. So you have MeWe, Minds, I'm reading this backwards, so hold on, Steam It, Inform Planet, obviously Facebook, Twitter, etc. And, I think he is really the business. Welcome to my show once again, because Gregg was on last May, the one and only Webmaster of In5D, and my friend Gregg Prescott. Hi, Gregg. What happened to Gregg?
I'm here. I muted myself. But I also have a new website, Shawn. I also have a new website called Zentasia. So add one more to the list.
Okay, so Zen. Do you want to type it out on the chat here?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Yeah, but it's real simple. ZEN as in Zen Tasia. Yeah. ZENTASIA.com. So. Okay.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. There it is in the chat on the YouTube. Zentasia.com. And in fact, I put a link up to the show today in there. I forgot. I got them all. I got holisticcancerresearch.com. Of course, your YouTube account, which you are still putting loads of content on, which is under youtube.com/user/in5D. And you're on so many different sites also as well, which I tried to cover. So Gregg, let's go into. I mean, I have so much to talk about. I know you have so much to share. So let's find out, how are you? How are you right now? How are you? What's happening in your life? Because
I've surrendered twice this month to Universe because of the difficulties with Facebook. I'm just, with over 400,000 followers, any given article is only reaching like 0.018 to 0.03 amount of people. In other words, it's about, out of 415,000 followers, I'm only reaching maybe 1,000 of them. So something is drastically wrong. Yeah.
So you have these Facebook shadow bans. Do you want to talk about that? Is that important to get into stuff,
Yeah. I'm currently working with a guy, John, from Facebook support, and I brought up all these things, and I asked him, okay, what am I supposed to tell my followers when they have selected like and see first, and they're not seeing it? So I'm going to get some answers, and up until then, I'm just going to pretty much bite my tongue about everything. I'm very well aware of shadow banning. In5D picked up 400,000 followers between 2009 and 2013 quickly, but since 2013, we've only picked up an additional 15,000. Something's not right with this picture. And, obviously the views are being throttled somehow, some way, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
What's sad for me is that your articles are always, and you have contributing writers too to your website, Facebook page as well. Your articles are always about the truth. And if people can't get to the truth, we are in trouble. We are seriously in trouble. And of course, Trump's running around calling everything fake news, but of course the fake news is the national news. It's the news that you see on CBS and NBC and CNN. And the real news is coming from people like you, like me, like, all the different YouTubers and Facebook people and other sites like MeWe and Gab that are trying to declare this is the truth, not the BS you hear on the, on these so-called normal, journalistic venues, which is nonsense. I would like to talk to you very much about what's happening right now in California, also what's happening right now in our beloved Florida. My mother lived there for 30 years and in Bradenton, and that's how Gregg and I met. And it's really disgusting what's going on with the red tide. Let's go there first, shall we? Let's talk about that. So anyone who knows Florida and knows the West Coast knows that the sands all along Siesta Key and Coquina Beach and Anna Maria Island and Bradenton Beach are absolutely beautiful, pristine, clean, normally. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But what's happening?
Yeah, it's the night here on Siesta Key, we have the 99.9% quartz crystal sand. And, I'm getting an echo.
Oh, you're fine. You're coming through fine here.
Okay, that's good. Good. But yeah, we have that 99.9% quartz crystal sand. It's absolutely amazing. It never gets hot. But now we have this so-called red tide that's being propagated by big sugar, phosphorus mining, sewage dumping, and being covered up by corrupt politicians on both sides of the aisle.
It's really disgusting what's happening with not only just the red tide, but what it does. It kills off all that. It just kills off all the fish. It kills off. Let's talk about it, Gregg. Come on, tell the listeners all over the world, because they may not know what's happening. So if you can go into it a little bit and just
okay. Okay, well, what's happening is we have one of the largest lakes here in Florida, Lake Okeechobee, that has all this runoff that goes into it, and occasionally they have to drain off Lake Okeechobee because it goes above flood stage. And what happens is they drain it. Historically, it was drained into the Everglades, but Big Sugar came in, and they had to rechannel the draining of it. So it goes into the Caloosahatchee River, which has an outlet here on the Gulf Coast down by Fort Myers, or it goes to the Atlantic side through the St. Lucie River and ends up polluting those sides. And every time they do a release, the United States Army Corps of Engineers are in control of releasing this water. Every time they do a release, massive fish kills. And they're calling it red tide. Yeah, red tide is real, but it's being propagated through the release of this toxic water. And so, this is why I do a beach update every day on Facebook. And I invite everyone to join in with me in placing their loving thoughts and intentions into the water. And we're proving that thoughts and intentions can cure the water, because we have nasty red tide to the north of us up in Anna Maria and Bradenton Beach. And to the south of us on KCT and in Nokomis, fish kills and everything. But here, the water's crystal clear because we're putting those thoughts and intentions into it. And we're proving to the world that, yeah, it makes a huge difference. I also use Ho'oponopono, the Hawaiian code for forgiveness. And between all that and everybody's intentions, we're making a huge difference. But, the core of the problem, as long as the core of the problem is not addressed, which is big sugar, phosphorus mining, sewage dumping, and corrupt politicians, it'll continue to happen. The answer is so simple. It's right in front of our eyes. And it's amazing that the politicians don't even talk about it. But what they need to do is, number one, regulate the water, make sure that all that toxicity is not going into the water. And number two, have it go back down to its historical flow into the Everglades. It's that simple, Shawn.
Unbelievable. It's always the simple things, but there's greed, there's malice and greed, of course. People do it not just to be greedy, but to be mean too. The craziness about this world, and it really is insane. It's psychopathic insanity. Is the more we kill off our nature, which is our air, our soil, I mean, our water.
Water, food, yeah.
The bees. What's left? How are we going to live? You know, and you argue this point with people, and they act like you're some conspiracy nut job. I just was assaulted today on my own page. I love this about Facebook. I put stuff up, and I say to people, look, this is what's happening. Here's all the proof. Here's all the research. I did the work. Here it is. Just go and look at it. And you get all the nimnods that come out of the woodwork and say, oh, what do you know? Well, I don't know. I have 3 degrees behind me. Maybe I know something. You know, I've been telling the truth for 34 years professionally. Maybe I know something. I don't know. Who would you go to? Walter Cronkite, you know. So I just, you know, I find it infuriating. And tonight, folks, if you're listening, and I hope you are, you can call into the show and talk to Gregg. And he is a wonderful and very tuned-in soul. Gregg and I know each other. We'll talk about how we know each other. But, you know, Gregg and I were sharing this about how we work on the astral together. That's another thing we'll talk about. Okay, Gregg? You happy to talk about that?
I also want to talk about a recent dream I had, too, that's really powerful. Yeah, let's get it in there because it's an amazing message.
Okay, so go ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay. So I talked about this on this morning on my beach update, and I'll be uploading that beach update to my YouTube channel because there's such a powerful message in it. But I had this dream the other night that I was back home in upstate New York, which is a common theme. I'm always going back home. You know, a lot of us have this feeling that, you know, this longing for going home again. And it's much more than just going back home to New York. It's going back home from our origin. But anyway, I had this dream where I was back home in upstate New York, and I'm in my car and I'm driving up a mountain. And there was 4 lanes on the mountain, and everyone was really driving really slow. So I put the pedal to the metal, and I put my car on cruise control, and I'm just flying up the mountain. All of a sudden, I run into these sharp turns and curves, and I'm trying to tap my brakes so the cruise control would shut off, but I couldn't touch my brakes. I wasn't allowed to slow down. Now, one of the classes I took in college, you know, as you guys know, I used to be a child and family therapist, a psychology major in college for my BA. And one of the classes I took was the psychology of sleep and dreams. Love that class. Fascinating. And it shows you how all of our dreams are metaphors for something else. But what they're lacking is the metaphysical meaning of why these dreams are happening and what they actually mean. So, for example, if you dream of a car, if you dream of a house, the car or the house is you.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the car or the house. But so I'm dreaming, I'm going up a mountain in a car. Now, typically, going up in traditional dream analysis means a promotion, something positive is going to happen in your life. But metaphysically, going up is what? Ascension.
Yeah.
So this is what we're looking at, going up and not being able to hit my brakes. And there was no fear, I have to add. There was no fear whatsoever when I was going up the hill, and I couldn't slow down. So that's the message right there, you know, on this ascension path that we're on. And I feel like this is a global message for everyone. There's no slowing down. There's no slowing down. We're not supposed to be hitting the brakes. We're going full steam ahead. And that's a very powerful message for everyone right now. So keep doing what you're doing, everyone out there, because it's happening, and we're in the midst of it right now.
Well, I think that's an excellent dream, and I agree with you. It's and especially going up the mountain. Mountains in the Tower of Wisdom. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
And if you go back to astrology, Capricorn is always about going up the mountain, and Saturn rules that. So let's take it even deeper. So here we have the wisdom to move ahead, right? Having learned the karmic lessons, which is Saturn, and be the leader that you are, okay, by giving that message. But moving straight up that mountain, I think that's a really, I agree, Greg, very beautiful message, but also even more profound when you think of mountains of wisdom and Capricorn deals with, and you always talk about Pluto and Capricorn.
Yes, yes. I have a feeling that, and I'm not one to put a date on anything, but if, and a big if in there, if I had to put a date on when the event would happen, it would happen, in my opinion, before the end of Pluto and Capricorn, which is 2023 in that area. So, but who knows? Timelines are changing every millisecond. It could happen while we're doing the show. It could happen in 2025. We all know it's something huge is culminating right now. And to put a date on it, especially when timelines are constantly changing with every thought, it's impossible. So, I'm not going to put a date on there. But if I had to, the end of Pluto and Capricorn in 2023.
It's very interesting times. They say maybe you live in interesting times, and we most certainly do. And I do think, as a light worker and as my fellow light workers like yourself, I think we came to this planet to help people prepare for these times. Do I think it's the end of times like the Bible says? No, I do not. Sorry, I don't believe in that. But I do believe in transformation. I do believe in the gift of Aquarius. I do believe in, if we can get there, a better road ahead. If we can get there, and we're on that road. That's clearly what you're talking about. Now, you know what? We're going to have...
Hang on a sec. Hang on one sec. I am so with you on the whole religious, the end time crap that they're trying to push on us, because a lot of this is being forced upon us through man-made destruction. But what I do find interesting, of course, the Bible is written in perfect astrotheological form where it's all laid out there, and it shows you a tale of astrotheology. Yeah, that's great and good. But what I find really interesting, though, through their end time prophecy is, with the seas turning red, and what do we have? A red tide, which is once again being propagated by man. This didn't have to happen, just like the California fires.
Well, that's going to be a big subject tonight, folks. So if you live in California and you're able to listen to the show, this show is for you, really, because tonight you're going to hear something you never in your wildest dreams ever thought would be true, unless you yourself are into seeking the truth, and you already know, or you already figured it out. I love California. I used to live there, and when I was 18, all I could think about was going to California, like Joni Mitchell, go out in California in 1974. And my boyfriend was waiting for me. He was my high school sweetheart who I loved and adored, and he went out there. I said didn't go out there first because he graduated high school before me, and he did. And the day after I graduated high school, I went out to California. I went to Los Angeles. And, the places that I know and love, like Malibu and Topanga Canyon, I went to metaphysics school. In 1980, 81 to 84, I was there in Westlake Village. I know Simi Valley. I shared a flat with someone there when I was training in nursing school, and I went to I did my nursing rotations in Woodland Hills. My first year in university, or what we call college in America, was at Pierce College out in Canoga Park, and my second year I was in Santa Monica City College, and later on I was in LACC. So you see, I did a lot of my knowledge came from California, and I still have loads of friends there who I love and adore, and it was my dream to take my daughter there, and now it's all burned up. Everywhere I was, everywhere that was my path, it's really shocking to me. So I had to do some work to look at it. Now, we always have our little musical breaks on the show. Without them, I think people would be gasping for a cup of tea or a coffee or need to use the facility. So we're going to do what we always do at this time, is take a little musical break. And Gregg, I had so much crap with the copyright people on the YouTube because I love rock and roll.
Yep.
And I was playing rock and roll, and songs that are, I'm 62, older than me, but or some of them were 50 years old, and I got so much gyp they wouldn't even, So if you're used to hearing the Doors tonight, but I picked great music. It's all instrumental, but it is copyright free. So the first one coming up, and then we'll be back with Gregg Prescott from IN5D.com, the webmaster, creator, and very tuned-in human being and soul. In about 5 minutes, you have a break. So here we go with, and guess what? The guy who created all these songs, except for one, is called White Sand. I thought that was perfect for you, Gregg. White Sand. And this song
awesome.
This song or this instrumental is called Beautiful. My Spirit is Free. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, we're back, and that was rather, well, I don't know. What did you think about that music, Greg?
Well,
Like
if it's white sand, you gotta if it's white sand, you gotta love it.
I mean, my kingdom for a decent rock song is copyright free, but other than that,
Right.
I wear my rock and roll shirt. Look, if you can see, it says on my shirt somewhere, let's see, I think it says I love rock and roll somewhere. All over the shirt. The whole shirt is like that. And I thought I have to wear this for Greg, who loves. Greg is he plays his guitar. He's a legend. Shall we say
I don't
that?
know about that. I love playing guitar, though. Yeah.
To those who know you, right?
Yes.
Because you go to the beach and you play, and we see it on your the different videos you put up, playing to the whole beach, right?
Yeah, and that, I just real quick, talking about music, I'd like to just talk a little about some high-pitched frequencies that people are hearing. I had an aha moment this morning, about high-pitched frequencies. And what I found out is, well, for example, recently I've been hearing the key of C as the predominant high-pitched frequency. And the key of C means the interpretation, the metaphysical meaning is it's innocence, it's simplicity, it's being childlike, rediscovering that inner child within you. And then it changed to the key of A, which means innocent love, satisfaction with one's state of affairs, hoping to see one's beloved again when parting, and youthful cheerfulness, as well as trust in Creator Source. But then it switched over, and what I've been doing is I'm following these Schumann resonances and trying to correlate what frequencies are coming in with the Schumann resonance. And being a musician, it's easy for me to find that predominant note that I'm hearing. And for the last 2 days, when we've had these Schumann resonance blasts, I've been hearing D. And the key of D is a triumph. It's victory. So what's happening above is also happening below. Something is going on right now, despite all the crap that we're going through, the red tide, the fires in California, all the strife, the monetary concerns. Something major is going on above and below right now. But I took it a step further. If you look into the D major chord, the D majors consist of a D, an A, another D, and an F sharp. And what I was hearing are these over-layered tones that are part of the D chord. So not only are you looking at the major, the D major note, the key of triumph and victory, but you're also looking at A major and F major. So A major means the key, it means innocent love, satisfaction with one's state of affairs, hope of seeing one's beloved again when parting, youthful cheerfulness, and trust of God. Okay, so we've been getting that one. And then the F major is triumph over difficulty, which a lot of us are going through right now. A sigh of relief, basically, when you've cleared these hurdles that we're all going through, overcoming struggles, and so they're all combined within each other. And it's important now that not only do I look at the main note that I'm hearing overall, because it's easy to find on a guitar, or if you're a musician, just find that note in the high-pitched frequency and then figure out what the chord is. Every chord has certain notes that are within that chord. Like I said, the D major has the D, the A, the D, and the F. And the C major is like, for example, it'd be a C, an E, a G, a C, and an E. So you'd be looking at the CEG on what those metaphysical meanings would be. And there's a page that I use to go for that has the metaphysical meanings for each one of these notes. But there is a correlation that's going on, and I'm trying to figure it out and fine-tune it right now on the Schumann resonances, when we're getting these whiteouts on the Schumann resonances, and what the high-pitched frequencies are and what the meaning is behind each one of those. So that was huge today. That was a really big thing that came to me about figuring out the notes within the chord and what they mean.
There's in my metaphysics classes in the Meta 1 group course, the 12-week course, I teach healing with sound. Sound is very powerful, as you know, and you play it like a xylophone, you will get all the octaves. You get, an octave is 8 notes, so 8, 16, 24, whatever. And then if you play that note for that specific part of the spine, it will heal that part of the spine. Which is how in Atlantis they used to heal. Right?
I did not know that.
You learn something new every day, Gregg.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, I'll send you some of that stuff if you want. Okay, I'll upload.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Because so when we use our words are gold. Our words are God. So this is what I was saying about integrity, at the beginning of the show. Integrity is gold. Telling the truth and being a truth observer is, I feel personally, the highest a soul can go. Maybe there can go to master levels on every other thing. But if you get to the point where you understand that your word is God, your word is gold, your word is God, then you cannot lie, because it betrays every cell in your body. So the vibration of your voice is like God commanding. When we go back to the sort of magic and open sesame, in ancient Egypt, ancient Atlantis, this is how the high priests and high priestesses worked. They worked with the sounds, gemstones, crystals, music, and this is exactly what the age of Atlantis is bringing. This is what the age of Aquarius is bringing back up, or has been trying to bring back up in holistic medicine and in metaphysics too. So your spine is already well equipped to heal if you work with the energy of that spinal cord. If you work with the bones, and there's another Saturn lesson because Saturn rules the bones. There you go.
It's really interesting too that I always encourage everybody to stand in their vibration of truth, love, and light. Not everyone's truth is going to be the same as everyone else's. There's not two people on this planet that agree with everything that the other person has put out there. But what we're doing is we're finding that we're aligning with other people of our same frequency that has our same truths and shares the same vibrations of love and light. And while, we're not going to share the same truths as everyone else, it's important for them to continue, the ones that don't share our truths, to continue doing what they're doing, because they're going to be finding their tribe, basically, the people that they're supposed to be with, or it's part of the learning lesson that, maybe not necessarily for them, maybe for us, and maybe we're not necessarily right. But I firmly believe everything I put out there is 100% spot on and would never intentionally mislead anyone. And I know you wouldn't either. So, just keep standing in your vibration of truth, love, and light, and you will attract your tribe. Your tribe will find you, and you'll find your tribe.
That's a really important message for today, because we have so much going on, and a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of people don't like to talk about the negative stuff going on because they're afraid in the New Age or whatever, spiritual work. I met someone recently like this, and it's like, if you don't see it, does that mean it doesn't exist? If you don't talk about it, does that mean it doesn't exist? Well, I have, everything in my chart is very much about talking and communicating. That's why I have a radio show. And I had another show before, in the very early days of the Internet. I was going to say this too. I started my radio show in 1999 on the Internet out of Florida, believe it or not. Maddie Radio, which is now SRQ Radio. You know SRQ, right? And
Sure.
it's in that Sarasota, and Maddie, lovely woman, Maddie, she offered me this job, and I said, I had a baby in my arms, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I said, okay, I'll do it. And it was called the Psychic Cafe, and it went for 2 years. And we used to do the show in London, interview people all over from London. This was just in the early days of the internet. And, it was wonderful. And so really, Cafe Esoterica is a rebirth of that show. And I'm very proud to say that show got all over the world, just like our show does now. And, my guests are just so wonderful, like yourself, Gregg. Truth and love and light is important. It is higher frequency. I was explaining to someone, you remember the frequency of water, and this goes back to you healing the red tide. If you say, Emoto, what was his name, the Japanese guy, Emoto, who, something negative in the water, and it looks black, it looks horrible, the crystals, right? And you say something positive, it looks beautiful, and it heals, which is what you're doing when you stand at that water, isn't it?
Yes. It basically turns the crystalline structure of water to something that looks as pristine as the most beautiful snowflake you've ever seen.
Right. And so this is, again, going with the power of our words. Our words are gold. That's why prayer and positive talking and speaking positively is important. But I will caution people, if you don't want to hear the truth, okay, that's your business. But, sometimes the truth is not pretty. It's not a la-la land, oh, my God, flowers and bees and unicorns. The truth is ugly sometimes. And it's not about the ugliness. It's about hearing it, and let's try and heal something. When you go to therapy, to get well, and sometimes you have to bring up a load of garbage to do it. But in the end, it's processing and getting rid of all this negative energy. And once you get rid of it, you can heal. And the same is true really for the world. The same is true for the consciousness of the world. We must look at the dark in order to understand it, not to live it, not to jump in and join it, but to understand what's happening and then work towards that light, move it towards the light. That's what Gregg and I do on the astral plane. We'll talk about that before we go into the California fires. So,
well, hang on a sec. There's a lot of people out there that are what I call galactic warriors out there, and they fight for all the injustices that are going on, and they are standing in their vibration of truth, love, and light. And I am one of them. I'll do the same thing. I'll stand up for the underdog. I'll stand up for the fish and the manatees and the dolphins and turtles that have no say about all this red tide crap. But they're equally as important are the people that, we sometimes think of them burying their heads in the sand, but they're not doing that. Some people are just holding space, and that's equally as important, to not get involved in that, just to hold the energy right now of that high vibration without delving into it. So you have, to me, it's important that you have both of them out there, but for us, it's equally as important for us to go and dive into that and to expose all the corruption that is going on throughout the world.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that completely. Of course, not everyone's going to be, sis boom ba out there raising their pitchfork, but they are part of the scheme which they signed up for. They came into the planet, and some people don't believe that they choose their parents and they choose to be here, but I do. As an astrologer, I definitely do. And so even if the worst case scenario, what are we learning from it? So that takes me to a very interesting dream that I had about Gregg, and it's not the first dream. I had a dream about Gregg a couple months ago, and we were in this place, and it looked
hopefully we were wearing clothing.
Yes, we were. None of that. No. I told you had a yarmulke. Remember, you had a yarmulke on. And the yarmulke is a little beanie that the Jewish people wear on their crown shawl.
Yarmulke. Yeah, the yarmulke. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had a yarmulke on, and we were in what looked like a war zone, okay? And but there was like an alleyway that the two of us were in, and we both had in our hand what would almost be like Beam Me Up Scotty. You know, it was a phone, but I knew it was more than that, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
And there was a little boy. There was a couple people, like, I'm sure this was in probably Palestine, really. And so it's interesting that Gregg was wearing the yarmulke, you know. And because a little boy said to me, I have to be a man. And he was only little, like 8, 9, 10. And I have to be a man now. And I said, why do you have to be a man? Because they need me to be a man. And I said to him, listen, you can be a little boy. It's okay to be a little boy. And you said to him, yes, it's okay to be a little boy when you are a little boy. And we did something, the two of us. And this little boy thanked us, ran to his mother, and he hugged his mother. And that was whatever we did there, it was okay. Remember I told you that?
I do. It's funny because so many people. Apparently, I'm a dream walker as well as you. We both walk through other people's dreams, and so many people will comment that they've seen me in their dreams as well. And gosh, when we're dreaming, we're doing so many things on so many different multi-dimensional levels that you could be with 1,000 different people at the same time in your dreams. And the only thing you might remember is that in your dream you were walking your dog or something like that,
Yeah. I've had many of my students say to me, oh, you're teaching us on the astral. Because I dreamt about you last night.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big class, and, we were discussing something. And I thought, yes, okay, that's happened to me so many times. And I know that I'm a teacher, that when I go home, my job is to teach, just like I do now. My job is to be a healer, a teacher, and we do these similar jobs at home. We don't just sit around with aching wings on. I don't know. We work. We do the things we love. We don't work for money. All our needs are provided, but we bring together the information we gathered while we're on the earth plane. And I think, I think souls come here to learn, and they come here to evolve. So, of course, their truth line is going to be different. A young soul who wants sex, drugs, rock and roll. I like rock and roll, okay? But, they want to party, and they're not really interested in what's happening in the world, and they could care less, and it's all about them because they're young. They're young souls, and when they mature, they'll start caring about other people. The danger is that they stay that way in a world that isn't going to let you get away with that. And that's when it's really important to wake up sometimes young. I woke up at 23. And it's young.
I think I came in awakened, honestly. There's certain things that I was pre-programmed to know when I came in. Yeah.
Yes, me too. I was born with the call, and they all knew I was psychic. My Irish grandmother predicted it, and I was told, you're psychic, and I was psychic, but I didn't understand it. When you have gifts, and especially when I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, by 1969, I was 13, and I knew when the phone rang who it was, but we didn't have caller ID back then. But, these things, Glenn, who I used to live with, and we went to school together in Pittsburgh, not the same school, but we grew up together. Anyway, but he died in California. So California is a really important place for me, and we have a couple minutes before we're going to go to the next break. We're going to talk about, folks. Well, I've done a lot of research in the last couple of days on this madness, this California fire madness. Maybe we'll take a little break right now, because we're 4 minutes to break, and we'll come back, and we're definitely going to talk about what's going on out there. And everything else with Gregg Prescott, who is my wonderful guest. I'm so thrilled to have him on the show. Again, he was on last year. And God willing, next year too, So let's take a little break now. The next song is a little shorter. It's called Beyond, meaning beyond this plane. And it's by White Sand. So here we go. We'll be back in 3 minutes and 17 seconds with Gregg Prescott. Okay, that was a little ethereal music there by White Sand called Beyond. And my guest today is the wonderful and very wise and very compassionate and loving Triple Libra, Gregg Prescott. Hi, Gregg.
Hi, Shawn.
I've done a lot of astrology charts in my day, but a Triple Libra I've never seen in my life. That makes you so unique.
I am so Triple Libra too. I am 100%. It's funny because being on the cusp on the day I was born, being on the cusp of Scorpio, I have no Scorpio. Maybe some very slight traits, but I am so Triple Libra.
My daughter's Libra, and I have some dear friends who are Libra, and every guy I dated had some Libra in him, like Libra rising, Art had Libra moon, and that's, because I'm Aries, I'm opposite, so, Libras are, that opposites attract thing,
our fire feeds your air.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, our air feeds your fire, the other way around, yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
You got it. Okay.
Yeah, that's my daughter and I. Brittany's a Leo, so my air feeds her fire. It's awesome.
Yes, you have a gorgeous daughter.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yes,
So,
I do. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And you see, this is also what's lovely about Gregg. He's a wonderful father. He always puts lovely pictures up of his daughter. And, this is what I recently saw a really good friend of mine that I hadn't seen for a long time. And she is a psychotherapist. She took my classes, my meta classes, many, many decades ago, and went on to become a really great psychotherapist. And we met up, and I went to her home. It was lovely, and we talked. And she has a granddaughter now, and she said to me, Shawn, after all the studying, all the inner work, all the things I tried to do, my children and my grandchild it tops everything. And I said to her, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Our children are the future, literally, and it's so important for us to take care of them properly and nurture them and give them the space to breathe, fresh air and clean water. And, all those things are so important. So, okay, Gregg, we're going to dive in now to the subject that nobody wants to hear about, but we must speak about, which is the California fires. So, do you want to share what you think is going on, and then I'll dive in with you. But
obviously it's hard to prove anything right now, but right. When you add 1 and 1 together, usually it adds up to 2. And from what it seems, there are some kind of directed energy weapons that are being used to start these fires. It makes absolutely no sense how and why the power would be shut off right before these fires began. And as it turns out, when you, in order to use these directed energy weapons, electricity has to be shut down. So that's what happened in some of these major fires that we're having out in California. The energy was shut down, the directed energy weapon was brought in, and then you have these fires just taking off all over the place. Now, the things that you have to look at, and you'll see the pictures on the internet, are like cars that are melted on the highway or on roads that are asphalt roads. Now, the melting point, for example, of aluminum is over 1,200 degrees. But yet you can see melted aluminum and the asphalt is still perfectly fine. How is that possible? Asphalt softens at 150 degrees, So it would make sense that if the heat was hot enough to melt aluminum, certainly the asphalt on the road would be melted too. So I would like a scientist to explain how that is actually possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's one of many clues that something is not right in, Woodville, as they say in America. When Malibu went up, Malibu go up, I knew something was wrong. Because, money talks, doesn't it? And it's sad in this world. And so, let the punters, as we say here in England, the punters, your average people, let their homes burn up. Who cares? But when it comes to the hoity-toity, the people who have money, including my cousin has a house there, which I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm sure if her house was there, it probably went up too. It's just beyond the beyond that they would let the great movie stars have their homes burned to the ground. Think of the Oscars and the BAFTAs and the Emmys and the Grammys, so something is not right when they do this to those type of people. Something is really not right.
A thought that crossed my mind is that, with these 50 some odd thousand sealed indictments, chances are a lot of them are probably Hollywood celebrities who may have some sort of pedophilia kind of connections.
Yes.
at their homes. So it may be a blessing for them that they were burned down because there's no evidence now of it.
Well, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Gerard Butler, does he really look like a pedo to you? I don't think so. I would never say that about him. But, I mean, you never know, do you? You just never know. Well, I think they want the property. The Chinese want the property. These are direct weapons that are like right out of Star Trek, a direct beam, and they blow up they ignite in a flame and a fire that, like, as all the firemen have said, we've never seen fire like this before. We have never seen it go up in the blaze that it went up before, right? And
how many pictures have you seen of these California neighborhoods where all the houses are incinerated, yet the trees around the houses are untouched?
Jackie Shawn is another previous guest of mine. Jackie was on my show a couple times too, and Jackie just wrote the same thing. The trees were standing, or the trees would burn from the inside out. There were pictures of that. How's that possible? So
exactly.
We have Houston, we have a problem. We have a real problem here. And what we have is, after looking at 9 million YouTube I've been looking for the truth since this began. And then I realized, unbeknownst to me, that this has happened in Redding, California, last year, and Mount Shasta, California, right before. So Redding and Shasta got it. Some of the I think South Carolina got it. Again, a couple years back. Same type of fire, same type of burning, same type of, oh my God, how is this possible? So,
well, what's interesting too about that, Shawn, is that in California they've been bankrupt for years, and in order for them to get any kind of aid from the government, how do you think they're going to do it? Well, hypothetically, if you start a major fire like that, and don't get responders there for a long period of time and let it go out of control, well, you're going to get billions of dollars, and they're looking at $10-11 billion in aid right now. Plus, they've been trying to put in this high-speed rail system that went through certain properties that they were not allowed to build on. So now that everything's burned down, they can claim, I think it's called eminent domain, I believe, but they can claim that land now and build those high-speed rails.
Wow, I didn't even know that. See, you learn something new every day. See, we have this going on here in London. This is very interesting. We have this whole madness about the high-speed rail. Same, yes. Like, why do you need a high-speed rail? Okay. So the high-speed rail is going to be flying right by my block of flats. Okay, and they keep telling us about it, and I'm thinking, okay, what is it? Is it something to do with energy frequency? Why? So, they keep warning us about it. We're going to be building it. It's coming through your neighborhood. It goes on and on and on. And apparently, we can move if this happens. And this is, I don't live in a swank neighborhood, but I live near a tube station, and that's really important in London. Good transportation. But somehow, I didn't know this. Now this makes me think, my God, I hope they don't do this BS here. They did it on purpose. They did it to reclaim the land. People may go off and want to live somewhere else, because why would you live where it was once burned? And yet people are saying, and I've heard it again and again, oh, we'll rebuild. We'll rebuild. Why would you rebuild in an area that has been hit by fire? Let's talk about.
Also, it's a distraction too from all this political BS that's going on here in Florida with all these thousands of ballots that just happen to be found. As a matter of fact, I just heard that they found another box, and on the ballots they voted for Al Gore. And how long ago was that? 2000, something like that. And they want to include those as ballots. It's just insanity. So look over here while something else is going on. So it's so multifaceted what's going on. You know, there is a huge issue going on in California. There's a huge issue going on in Florida. All this stuff is going on. And, you know, they're like we were just talking about, you know, what they're doing is creating the end times. They're making the end times come to fruition when it doesn't have to be like this. The ocean doesn't have to be like this. There shouldn't be those fires out in California either.
Yeah. See, this is the psychopathic part. The psychopaths want to rule and claim rulership to this world, who say we want less people in the world because this stupid Georgia Guidestones that they made up anyway is supposed to be the way that they go. And they are Satanists. They are pedophiles. They are probably reptilians. Who the hell knows? But at the end of the day, and this is where, and I just want to bring this up because I will go there, okay? I don't hear other people going there, but I'm going to go here. My hometown, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I grew up, and I grew up as a Jew, even though my mother's Catholic. She was not practicing, and my father's Jewish. He was Jewish. He's dead now. But the bottom line is I grew up in that area. The whole Squirrel Hill, Stanton Heights, Highland Park area was Jewish, and this is where we grew up, and this is where, in fact, Glenn, my first boyfriend, grew up in Squirrel Hill. He went to that synagogue that was massacred. The people in there, he went there when he was a young boy, and he did his bar mitzvah there, and I did my bus mitzvah down the road in another place called the Hebrew Institute. And this is why people are blaming the Jews for the Rothschild storyline. Okay, and this is where we get all this anti-Semitism coming in, and people saying it's the Jews who want to take over the world. No, it isn't. There might be a Jewish family that wants to do it, and they're not Jewish by any script of the Judaism that I understand, because Judaism isn't about that. It's not even close to that. You know, so this is why we have a big problem in the truther thing, because the truther thing is saying, oh, the Jews, you know, David Icke, and a lot of people who a lot of truth tellers like to listen to, you know, these people don't understand that this is lies, bullshit, and it's absolutely a distortion of any truth connected with the Jewish race. Okay.
Well, that's like saying, you know, any Caucasian person is, you know, as equally as evil as Hitler, or all reptilians are malicious and malevolent. You know, I don't firmly believe that. I don't think that all reptilians are bad or all grays are bad, you know. And to lump everyone into one category is a very bad mistake to do.
It's disgusting, and it shows the ignorance of the world and how people are so paranoid, just paranoid. You know, that guy who ran in there and screamed, you know, all Jews must die. Didn't we learn anything from World War II? And, you know, then you have the deniers of the Holocaust. 4 out of 5 of my best girlfriends growing up, parents had tattoos from the Holocaust. They were in the concentration camps. And luckily, you know, America came in with the Yanks and rescued them. But, you know, if you really want to understand this world, go see a concentration camp. Go see how evil it really can be. They're still standing as a testament that they did exist, of course. And I went to Dachau. My daughter, on her own volition with her class, decided she was going to see it too. And she just this year went to Auschwitz. And, you know, it is shocking. And you still feel, as an empath, it'll destroy you. You go in there and you just feel the fear and the anger and the absolute, you know, trembling of these poor people who did nothing wrong except show up in the world. So, you know,
I got to tell you this, Shawn.
Yeah.
While we're talking, I got this high pitched frequency, and you know, I picked up my guitar, located the note, and what I'm hearing right now is F major, and that represents triumph over difficulty. A free sigh of relief uttered when hurdles are surmounted. And this is exactly what I was talking about before. And the F minor is in conjunction with the chord D. It's one of the notes within the chord of D. And I think that's what's happening right now. We were just talking about it before. We have all this stuff on our plates right now. All this stuff is going on around us, but something major is happening above and below right now where something major. As a matter of fact, I had my night vision goggles out last week, and I'm on the beach and I'm just scanning the skies, and I saw the second largest UFO I've ever seen with my night vision goggles. And I just heard a report that there are so many more ships in the skies right now than ever before. And I just happened to capture one of the largest ones I've ever seen last week. So something big is happening, and that's the confirmation with this high-pitched frequency that I'm hearing. It's a F sharp right now. I'm picking up that predominantly. So yeah, there's, despite all this crap that's going on, something major is happening in our favor right now.
Yeah. I would like to think that, really. I would like to think that there is a God. There is, there are, higher frequencies, higher energies, higher beings that are saying whatever these psychopaths are trying to do to destroy the earth, the beautiful earth. It is beautiful.
Yes.
From its mountains to its lakes to its beaches to its frozen tundra. It is beautiful. And this is why...
Well, don't you think that they're panicking right now? Ultimately, they know that the rest of us are going to be leaving them. They're not going to have their energy. They're not going to be able to siphon us anymore from our energy. As we climb up this mountain of ascension right now that we're speeding up. Basically, we're flying up it right now. No brakes, no stopping, and they're panicking right now. And they're throwing everything at us, including the kitchen sink, and trying to distract us and keep our vibration down through all this crap. But I am the eternal optimist. I am Pollyanna. I'm always looking at the bright side of everything, but I'm getting that confirmation through the high-pitched frequencies that something major is going on in our behalf right now. So it's really exciting.
That's good to know. I'm glad you told us that. I need that myself because I can be very Capricorn rising, doom and gloom. I try to be very positive with the Aries Sun and the Aries Mercury conjuncted, very strong in the third house. They're like not even a degree apart. So I battle in myself, I battle with, like many people, it doesn't matter how high you go, you still see things and it traumatizes you. I was traumatized by what I saw in the news about California. I love California, and I was traumatized by, two of the brothers that were killed in the Pittsburgh synagogue grew up on my street. They grew up on my street. You understand? That's how close these things are to me, even though I'm living in London. And I thank my lucky stars I am in London. I could have been there. I could have been in either one of those places at any given time. So, I told some of my friends to get the hell out of California. I just said, get out. There's something going on there that's not right. Let me go back to that for a second because let's talk about the toxins that are pouring down with these fire retardants. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the chemicals that are being poured all over California's beautiful landscape, in the water, on the land, to stop the fires. What do you think, people out there, and Gregg as well, what do you think that this is made of? It's not baking soda, okay? Let's just get, real about that. So you have all these toxicities being poured on these fires. Also, all the toxins that the fire creates. So when it explodes EMF things, and it explodes smart meters, and it explodes all the toxins in anyone's house. This goes up into the atmosphere. It goes into the clouds. And then eventually it comes down in rain, or it comes down in the air. So people, you are breathing toxic air right now in California. And, people say, I'm not that far from it, or it's not affecting me. Hello, air travels, What are you going to eat there? Which food is going to be healthy now? Think about the wineries in Northern California, Napa. Think about the food that you get at the farmer's market in LA and down in Fairfax, which I used to go to all the time. Where does that food come from, folks? It comes from the very land that's been burned up. So, just like Gregg is talking about the red tide in, forget Disneyland, that's all commercial nonsense. If you ever saw the West Coast, Gregg lives, right, Gregg? It's the most beautiful Anna Marie Island, gorgeous, Siesta Key, gorgeous. Jackie came to Florida with me. My friend Jackie Shawn is in the chat room. She knows how pretty Florida is. And that red tide, I remember years ago when I was visiting my mother and there was red tide there. And she said, we have it, it's choking, it's horrible, it makes your eyes water, but it's normal and it goes away. But that's not what this red tide is it?
No. Typically, red tide lasts 7 to 10 days, not months. My parents live in Fort Myers, and it's been going on all year there. It's never left.
Oh, God. All year.
Yeah.
You see, and when they were thinking about introducing that fake mosquito, remember that in Florida? The robotic.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Jackie wants me to ask you, ask Gregg his thoughts on G5. What's G5?
You see, I have no idea either. Sorry. But you know what you were talking about, too, about all this stuff that's being poured onto the fires. Yeah. You even have to look before the fires with all the chemtrails that are being laid out on there. They're helping to propagate the fires to begin with.
Yes.
So it's a mess.
Yeah. I mean, to 5G.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible. What's 5G is absolutely horrible. Matter of fact, I was talking to a guy that installs cell towers on the beach yesterday. Just yesterday, I was talking to this guy. Right. And he's a contractor. And he is so against it, but he's got a family to feed and a job to do, and obviously he's still doing it. He's putting up these towers and stuff, but it's absolutely horrible. I'm so very, very much against 5G, and a lot of people are suspecting that a lot of these massive bird killings are from the 5G. They're just falling out of the sky, flocks of birds falling out of the sky. And, it's kind of like thimerosal in vaccinations. No amount of mercury is good for you. And I believe that, no amount of microwave radiation is good for you either. So here we are in this, 2.5G, 5G society where it's going to ramp up, and it's not going to be pretty what happens afterwards. But hopefully there's enough awareness, and unfortunately at the expense of, once again, Mother Nature, our animals, that we're going to start seeing these things happening that are not good. But hopefully we can work around it and get away from 5G. 5G is not the answer.
I have here on my list, I'm going to just say this because I'm just going to run through some of these questions, Gregg, and there's so many here. I want you to pick one you want to answer, okay? Because I have a list of questions, and we'll run out of time. So tell me about your IN5D cruises. Any coming up?
Yeah, there's one coming up in January, I believe January 17th. It leaves here from Tampa, Florida, and goes to Cozumel, and it's a 4-night cruise. So we're looking forward to that. Lots of amazing speakers on there. It's going to be a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, I'm bringing my guitar. One of the speakers also sings, and we're going to be jamming. I'm going to bring my guitar and portable amp. We're going to do a little jamming on the top of the ship. So that'll be fun.
God, I'd love to.
But yeah,
it's January. If I win the lottery, I'll be there. So just tell us, how do people get in touch? How do they book it? Where do they go? Do you know?
Okay. Yeah. I believe it's called wavesoflight.com.
Okay.
I'm typing it in right now, and I'll post the link.
Okay.
Oops, yeah, I'll post the link in the chat room here in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Where?
See, this is what we need. We need kind of gatherings with people who know what they're talking about. And Gregg has done a lot of events like this. You know, this isn't the only one. He's done loads of them. And in Florida, in California, and where else? All over, right?
Texas, Washington, yeah, all over. Okay, so it's wavesoflight.org, and I'm going to post that link in the tabs. And we got a number of speakers. One of our writers, Nicole Frolick, is going to be there. Monica Benoit, Eric Rains, a lot of you people know, Marina Jacoby, Michelle Walling, Michael Black, Jessica Sanchez, and myself. And it's from January 17th through the 21st of 2019. And I am going to post that link right now. Well, let me find it into the chat.
And I'll put
and
it up.
This is not an IN5. This is not an IN5D cruise either. It's actually being run by Nicole Frolick, who, like I mentioned, is one of our contributing writers on IN5D, and Michelle and I will be talking at that cruise.
Very nice. Okay, wonderful. There it is in the chat room. HTTPS www.wavesoflight.org for those who can't see that. Okay. If you want to go and hang out with Gregg, what a cool thing to do. Go and chill out on his cruise, right? And with all the other speakers. And okay, so moving on, because I said, and then we have to take our other little breaky poo. What about, we were talking about, let's go to the thing that you love the most, I think, is siesta key drum. You know, the siesta key drum circles. That you do every Friday, is that right?
No, it's every Saturday, or Sunday, I'm sorry, every Sunday night. Yeah.
Okay, every Sunday. So for those who haven't, sort of, maybe you're in Florida and you'd like to go and see Gregg and hang out with I mean, we used to do that years ago when I was with my mother in Florida, before my daughter was born. Years and years we used to go to that drum circle. And you're there every week, aren't you?
Well, I try to go as often as I can. I'm not there every week, but, you know, when you're there, it's a magical experience. Not only do you have the energy of the drums, but you have the energy of the quartz crystal sand. And it's just such a uplifting environment. It's a total joy to be there. And if you're ever in Sarasota, Siesta Key, or in the area, I highly recommend checking it out because it'll be an experience you'll never forget.
Oh, okay. That sounds like fun. Okay. Here's the last question before we go to our next break. What do you think is the biggest enemy of consciousness?
That's a loaded question.
Well, what do you think? Because, you know, you're awake, and for those who aren't.
Yeah, well, I personally think, I think it's TV, the brainwashing of television. Yeah.
Okay.
It distracts us. It takes us away from going within. So after you get done with a hard day of work, you get home, you have a bite to eat, and you turn the TV on. Why not meditate? Why not go within? Why not look for answers instead? Why not, try to enrich your soul instead of getting lost within this mental programming, literal mental programming, and then buying into the BS that they're trying to sell us of, controlled obsolescence crap on TV with their commercials and all this other stuff. It's just, it's a huge distraction. So that's probably our, one of the biggest hurdles. And the other would be just, not having an open mind, not being open enough to explore other possibilities. So many people in this world will go to their graves pretending to be what society expects them to be, never knowing who they truly are themselves. They'll never know. And these are the things that you can be working on instead of watching TV. So, yeah, those two things I would go with. What about you? What do you think?
Ignorance, number one. Ignorance. Just ignorance. Don't want to know, don't want to read, don't want to learn, adamant that they are righteous in their own beliefs and that's it, and I really can't stand that, to be honest. And I think brainwashing comes into that as well, of course. And if I had to choose another one, not understanding their purpose to be here. Just to be here, that it's all about free will, and to understand that process, the reincarnational process, which many don't believe in or don't understand. You hear people say, "Oh, this is my last life," but really, the reason you would have the last life is you would have become a master. You would have become a master, not in one subject, but many subjects. And if you chose to come back, you would teach. Why not? You give your knowledge to people who need it. So ultimately, I think it's that ignorance is the key. It really bothers me, ignorance. And
I like Gemini's answer in the chat room. She said AI computers and phones.
Yeah, but you can use like we're using a computer right now, and this is getting this message out to the world. So it depends on how you use these things, right?
Definitely.
And
that would be no different than TV. Imagine if the news actually said half an hour worth of positive news articles, and you felt great after listening to the news. And if the commercials actually sold you stuff that was beneficial to humanity, it wouldn't be that bad of a thing as long as the ELF waves coming out of the TV weren't too damaging.
Yeah, Jackie says food and vaccines, and I know what she means, the GMO food, which is toxic as shit, and vaccines, which nobody should put even one in their system. They're lies.
I agree with that answer, too, yeah, definitely. Spot on.
Cancer-causing ingredients, amongst other things. Okay, my lovelies, let's take a little breaky poo, and we'll come back for the last half hour of the show. So if you wanted to speak to Gregg, you should call in now. Area code 516-387-1809. And we'll be back. This one, Gregg, is not from White Sand. This is called The Art of Silence, and it's by Unique. And
all right.
We'll be in a couple minutes with Gregg Prescott. Okay, we're back for the last 20 minutes. I can't believe it. It went so quickly. Just flew by as I knew it would. And my guest today, my wonderful guest, is the absolutely awake, alive, very astute and spiritually aware Gregg Prescott, who is right here. If you want to speak to Gregg, now would be the time. Area code 516-387-1809. Hi, Gregg.
Hi.
Let's go back to we were talking about. I have my little list of questions, which I'm glad I did because it's interesting to hear you speak about these things. If I ask you this, how can people get on a spiritual path? So many people are hungry for the truth. What would you recommend to them?
First and foremost, look at your passions. What are you passionate about? And then I would say, if I would ask them, if there was no such thing as money, what would you be doing? And chances are it's going to be something around your passions. And, if you look at where your life is right now, are you doing something that's spiritually fulfilling, or are you just basically existing? And a lot of us, have been there. We've gone down that path where we've had to take jobs that we may not necessarily have liked, like, maybe working at a bank or, gas station or whatever, but ultimately there's something that much greater and a much greater purpose of why you're here. And it takes a little soul searching. So find out what your passions are and try to find something around that. And each day you're going to be led, step by step to exactly what you're supposed to be doing and why you're here. So just a lot of soul searching, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's thank you, Gemini Moon. She says you're asking great questions, and Jackie too. And Jackie's birthday was 11/11. Miss Jackie Shawn,
nice.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Jackie!
Happy birthday! Yeah. When I was growing up, when I was growing up, I always had this fascination of the mind. Why do we do what we do? But at the time, I didn't realize that my interest was in psychology. And I always was passionate about children. I love children. My daughter and I are both child magnets. If there's children around, they just are gravitated to us. And it might be our energy, our aura. There's something about my daughter and me that we are just, children just light up when they're around us. And that's, one of the things I did when I was younger. I looked into going back to college as an adult learner. I went when I was right out of high school, and I joined a frat and flunked out miserably twice. Partied my ass off and did all that stuff. But I went back as an adult learner and graduated with honors for both my BA and my master's because I did some soul searching. What is it I really find fascinating? And I love learning about the mind. Why do we do what we do? And that's why I chose psychology. And what a great way to blend, a passion of the mind with children. So I ended up being a child and family therapist for at-risk youth. So, dig deep, figure out what it is you're passionate about. And chances are there's an occupation out there that you would love to do. And you're never too old to begin it because, I started this as an adult learner in, I think, my late 30s when I started going back to college. And as I mentioned, I ended up graduating with honors and love doing what I do. But I also, now that I'm just doing the Webmaster thing, I love this equally as much. So find your passion.
Wow, Morse here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Appreciate you both. Talk soon, Gregg. Stay blessed and miraculous. Thank you, sweetie guy, which is AKA Morse. I think that's excellent advice, and people boo-hoo and poo-poo education, and I'm here to say that it took me 10 years of higher education, waitressed till my feet bled, worked as a bartender.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God my other boyfriend who passed, I have two that look after me. He taught me how to bartend. Mm-hmm. It put me through university, my day, because I'm a little bit older than Gregg, my father said, "Oh, you're a girl, you'll just get married." That was his big plan and ambition. And I had other ideas, so he wouldn't pay for my education. So I had to find a way, even though I had the money, I had to find a way to do it. And I started out in waitressing, a very noble profession, let me tell you. At the time, it was sort of synonymous with prostitution at the time, And now, of course, everybody, it's no big deal. Lots of college kids waitress and waiter, and they do bartending, and it's nothing. But back then, it was very crazy sort of thing to do. But I thank my lucky stars that I had a way to make that money, so I could pay for my education and put myself through college. And I put myself through many different schools, like you, Gregg. And some of them weren't right, and some of them were wonderful. So I never lost one thing I learned. Even when I was at the University of Pittsburgh, I took a speech class. I was so shy. You talk about, being an introvert. I was really an introvert. Capricorn rising is always known to be shy, really. And I would turn beet red if someone looked at me the wrong way. So imagine me. I had to learn how to do all these things. And many, many years later, when I did this speech class at Pitt, and many years, and I did really well in it because I just pushed myself to do it, And in the end, all that stuff, that speech class I'm using right now, see, you never lose anything you're learning. And it's really important to keep open, learn, keep your mind open, learn, read, study.
Oh, my gosh. I remember taking a speech class in college, I think my freshman year. Oh, my God. We had to read like an excerpt from a book and then tell our opinion about it. And the book I chose, because my daughter was so young, I chose one of her children's books and explained the reason why I chose that afterwards. But, yeah, I was so freaking nervous. And, being the introvert that I am, it's not easy to get up in front of people to do what you're doing, or to do a radio show, or even to do a beach update, or doing conferences like what I do. It's none of that's easy for an introvert, but we do it because there's information that needs to get out there. And I've had so many people come up to me afterwards saying, you know what, you inspired me. If you can do this, and I know how big of an introvert you are. If you can do this, I can do this too. And people have been doing that, so we're leading by example, and you can do it. You can get over it. It's not easy, but there's a greater reason that you have to put ahead of being introverted or being shy, and that is to get the message out there to as many people as possible.
I think that's very wise. I'm watching the time. We have plenty of time left to talk about a couple more things.
Okay.
It's usually at the end of my show, I do this thing called In This Metaphysical Moment, but I'm going to change that because if people didn't know, the wonderful Jackie Gwain passed away. He actually passed away on the 11 Jackie's birthday. I'm sorry to say it, but very wise master she is, Jackie Gwain. And I have one of her books. I have many of her books, but this one I'm going to read from tonight called Reflections in Light. That'll be the metaphysical moment at the end. So if you don't know who Jackie Gwain is, Google her. She is a light bringer extraordinaire, right up there with Louise Hay. Okay, so Gregg, going back to my questions, here's a good one for you. What do you really want people to know? If you had to say one thing or 10 things, what is it that you really want people to know?
Don't be afraid to be yourself. Be you. Find out who you are first, and then be that person. No matter what anyone else thinks, says, or does, be that person. Stand in your own truth, love, and light. And don't be afraid of that. Like Gandhi said, even within the minority of one, the truth is still the truth. Stand in that truth. Own it. And don't be afraid. And we're all doing this in this genre. So, you can do it too. Find out who you are and stand in that truth.
What do you think?
And also honor everyone's path, because not everyone is on the same path as we are. And even within our own genre, we're going to have differences of opinion. There's people that are flat earthers. There's people that aren't. Certain people think that, the ascension is going to be the flash of light. Other people think that we're going to be saved by UFOs. And, who knows? Ultimately, I've got my own truth. I do believe that the event is the big flash of light. I've seen it. I felt it. I experienced it. But that might not be someone else's truth. But it's important to honor their opinions as well. So even if you disagree, honor their path as well.
Good answer. I agree. What does the future hold for us and consciousness?
Oh boy! See, that ties right in. That ties right into that dream that I had of this. I saw myself. It wasn't a dream; it was a vision. Excuse me. But I saw myself standing in front of myself, and then all of a sudden, this white light floods the planet. And at that moment, bam! All you feel is unconditional love to a magnitude never experienced before in humanity. And the example I use is, imagine the one thing that you love the most. For me, it's my daughter, Brittany. Multiply that by 1,000,000 times, and I'm probably underestimating it. Multiply that 1,000,000 times, and that's the kind of love you're going to feel. You don't care anything. There's no money, government, religion. There's no, my boss is an asshole kind of thing. You're not worried about any of that stuff because you're just bathing in this unconditional love that's so magnanimous. It's overwhelming. I had a beach meetup last year, and there was a nurse there that had a near-death experience, and she said that she experienced the same exact thing in that unconditional love where you can't express in words how deep, how much love you're actually feeling. I'm saying 1,000,000 times stronger than anything that you love, and I'm underestimating it. It's that much love that you're going to feel when this white light floods the planet. So yeah, to me, that's where we're heading. That's what's going to happen. But that might not be other people's truths, and I honor that, But for me, yeah, and so many other people resonate with what I'm saying, and that's great too, But that's where I see us going, and I wish I could put a date on it. If I had to, ultimately, like I said, if I had to, it'd be by the end of Pluto and Capricorn in 2023. But who knows? No one knows. I do feel that it will happen within my lifetime, whenever that might be.
Excuse me. On that note, I think we have to wrap up the show. It's gone so quickly. I can't believe it, Gregg. It's just been wonderful with a capital W to have you on my show again. You are a true star, a light, a real beacon of light. And your website, IN5D.com, BodyMindSoulSpirit.com, HolisticCancerResearch.com, and Zantasia.com. All there for the pickings for all you lovely people out there. Do check out Gregg's websites, and he's got the wavesoflight.org cruise coming up January 17th, and check him out because he is definitely worth checking out. I thank you, Gregg.
Follow. Oh, one last thing. Yes. Please subscribe to the In5D emails. You can subscribe to either the weekly or the daily. That way, Facebook has been suppressing our views. So you get everything delivered to your inbox. Check that out, number one. And number two, on my personal Facebook page, I give a daily beach report, but it's more than just a beach report. I also get into spirituality and metaphysics when I'm out there. I kind of tie them both together. So, if follow me on Facebook, and you'll be tuned in to each one of those reports as well. Thanks again, Shawn. I love you.
I love you too, Gregg. And one day in Florida, okay? Unless you come to London first, okay? And definitely meet up again. That's in the script somewhere. I know that. So on that lovely, stay with us, Gregg, because I'm going to read something beautiful from the wonderful. You know who she is, Shaki Gwen, right?
Okay. Yeah.
She's beautiful, and she passed. She was 73 years old. And Shaki wrote Living in the Light, which is like Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. Very profound, beautiful spiritual wisdom in a time when women were just getting their voices in the spiritual realm. You know, this is before Marianne Williamson wrote her book, you know, Return to Love, and so many others. So it was like Louise Hay, of course, Catherine Ponder with all the consciousness, you know, abundance and consciousness. But really then came Shaki Gwain. So Shaki, this one is for you. Lovely spiritual woman. All my students know her work because I always tell them to read her. I'm going to just open to a page. Give us your wisdom, Shaki. And this is, I just turn to a page, and here, this is how you use an oracle book, by the way, people, if you don't know. And it says, our relationships are channels. I move towards people I love because I want the intensification I experience with them. I feel the universe moving through me to them and moving through them to me. This may happen by just being together, talking, or touching. The intuitive energy itself lets me know what is appropriate. It's mutually satisfying and fulfilling because the universe is giving to each through the channel of the other. If I trust my own energy, each person in the interaction receives what they need. And the message the universe is channeling through my relationships. And Gregg, isn't that appropriate for us tonight? Oh my God, that's just so wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. Trusting your own energy is huge. Speaking your truth, stand in that truth. Definitely.
Absolutely. So we're going to go out on Shaki's beautiful message. Rest in peace, Shaki Gwain, and thank you for all your wisdom. And Gregg, very much alive and well in Florida and all over the web. And we will speak to you soon, Gregg. I'm going to play us out with one more White Sands song, and it's called Eternity, because we are all eternal. Here we go.
Thank you, Shawn.
You're so welcome, Gregg. God bless. Thank you so much. week for Cafe Esoterica, we'll bring you the wonderful Chris Evers, who writes and publishes and is the editor for Outer Limits magazine, all about UFOs and aliens. You don't want to miss that. And we'll see you then. Tune in and be safe out there, everyone. Bye now.